Women in your 30s, tap in. Girlies in your 30s, have a seat. Tap in. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing in your 30s for fun? What are y'all doing? Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. My name is Brianna. Most people know me as Dollface PA or Brianna Moore. I've done a lot of content on this channel about how to become a PA and what that process looks like from pre-PA to being a PA to maintaining your license. Recently, I've pivoted a little bit and transitioned my content, and I recently started a new series called Finding My Way as a Woman in Your 30s. I just want to thank everybody for the outpouring of support and love that I got on episode 1, and if you haven't checked that one out, please go check that out. The series is essentially about relatability for women journeying through their 30s. I started to feel like I was alone in a lot of the experiences that I was facing in my 30s, which to me, the decade of 30 feels so different from 20s. And it was just so refreshing to know that there are so many other women that not only are experiencing the same things, but are relating to the things that I'm talking about. So I definitely want to keep this series going. Today, I'm going to talk about fun in your 30s. So without further ado, let's get right into episode 2. So first, I think it's really important to define what fun is. The things I consider to be fun in my 30s is drastically different from the things that I consider to be fun in my 20s. Pull up a chair, sis, because you know it's getting ready to get real in here, because you know me, I don't really hold anything back. But if I'm honest, fun in my 20s was heavily centered around alcohol. I said it. By no means was I an alcoholic. However, I will say that as society has groomed us to do, I was drinking socially. Every time I got an opportunity to drink socially, go out, party, go to the club, hang out with friends, that often involves alcohol. We live in the United States where we have been conditioned to believe and just accept that any celebratory occasion involves alcohol. I feel like that is first normalized in college. You go to college, you party, everybody's drinking at the parties, and obviously we're going to college in our late teens, early 20s. I think it's a bigger issue though, and I think it's a bigger topic to be discussed. I don't know if this is a global thing or if this is just an American thing. I'm an American, so I only can really speak to my experience as an American, but we look for any reason to drink. It's 4th of July, we at the cookout, we drinking. It's Christmas, everybody's getting together at the house, we're drinking. It's somebody's birthday, oh, we're drinking. It's a major celebration, bachelorette party, oh, we're going to the club, we're going partying, and we're drinking heavily. Somebody just graduated, we're drinking. I don't know if this is an American thing or if this is just an African American thing, but Black people find any reason to drink. It's a funeral, we at the repast, we're drinking. It's a baby shower, we're drinking. It's a wedding, we're drinking. And it's open bar. We're on vacation, we're drinking at the all-inclusive. Our society has made it to where a lot of the celebratory occasions in life, along with a lot of the really exciting things that we look forward to in life, vacations, graduations, birthday celebrations, weddings, involve drinking. And I think as a young adult in my young 20s, it was very easy for my brain to start to associate fun with drinking. Like, oh yeah, it's gonna be so fun. Of course we're gonna be drinking when we get there. Oh, we're going to a concert. Oh, we're gonna pregame before we go to the concert. And we're gonna be drinking at the concert. So I think simply put, for me, in my 20s, fun was drinking. Drinking was fun in my 20s. And a lot of the things that I did, I wanted to drink while doing those things. I was going out a lot. I was hanging out with friends a lot. For a lot of my 20s, I was in college and then I was in PA school. So on weekends, when I'm hanging out with friends, we're gonna go get drinks. Or if I'm going over a friend's house for a party, we're gonna be drinking. I was always a social drinker. I've never been the type of person to drink by myself, but like if I'm out hanging out with friends, which is what I was doing the majority of my 20s, I was gonna be drinking. So I hope you can see where I'm going with this and laying the foundation for why fun in my 30s looks significantly different from fun in my 20s. First, I wanna start by saying, I don't really drink like that anymore. By no means am I saying that I don't drink at all, but drinking is not the basis of anything I do anymore in my life, whereas it was when I was 21 years old, when I was partying every weekend, when I was hanging out with friends. That's no longer the case for several reasons. First of all, I just don't enjoy drinking like that anymore. I don't like the way alcohol makes me feel. The older we get and the more we are trying to be stewards of our health and of our body, once you know what alcohol does to your body, if you care about your body, it kind of changes the way that you look at it. Alcohol is absolutely horrible for you. And I think that if you just sit with yourself when you're drinking, you can kind of tell that based on how you feel. I feel horrible when I drink. I feel horrible when I drink. When I'm actively drinking, I feel pretty bad. I feel kind of nauseous. I get like a little bit, I don't know if it's like a cholinergic, like antihistamine. My medicine is coming out right now, but I feel like flush. Sometimes I get a little bit diaphoretic, like a little bit sweaty. My heart beats fast. They're like, when I first turned 30 and the first time that happened to me, I thought I was having an allergic reaction. I was like, am I allergic to alcohol? I think it is just physiologically, our bodies truly change as women when we're entering into our third decade. And my body just does not metabolize alcohol the way that it did in my 20s. Like, I used to joke when I first turned 30, I'm like, this cannot be the same body that used to like go on weekend benders and be drinking Thursday, we going to the club Saturday, we doing this on Sunday. This can't be the same body, because how am I this down bad? And we're not even gonna talk about the hangovers. I mean, a hangover, sometimes I feel like I need to be in the hospital. And I don't even have to drink a lot to feel horrible the next morning. So, I mean, I think that definitely, really, that kind of started in my later 20s. I didn't like the physical effects of alcohol on my body. So that was the initial thing that made me kind of just start to cut back. It's like, okay, I don't like the way I feel. And in my 30s, I became very intentional about my health. And I just no longer am interested in choosing to do things that make me feel bad. That's a word in itself. Anything, actions, relationships, going places. I'm not choosing anything that's unpleasant for myself. So truthfully speaking, that posed a little bit of a question for me. So much of what I considered to be fun in my 20s was defined by drinking. Once I removed drinking from the equation and I was no longer really drinking that frequently or that often, I really felt a little puzzled, in the sense that I was like, dang, like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, if I'm not drinking, what am I gonna do now? Like, all the things I used to do would involve drinking. I found myself struggling to redefine what fun looked like in my 30s. Another thing that I really considered to be fun in my 20s was living a fast life. I loved that fast life. If anybody has followed me on this platform or on any of my social medias for any amount of time, you probably know, like, I used to be on the road. I used to be on go, traveling nonstop. I'm talking about taking multiple big trips a year, like 4, 5, 6 international trips a year. That was very normal for me. And I think that living in New York City really just fueled that fast life, because I was working shift work at the time, so I kind of could pretty much make my schedule. I would only be working 12 shifts a month. And so I would move my schedule around to where I could have large blocks of time off. And I was single, I had money, I had nothing but time and freedom. So I loved being on go, 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 go. Like, it was nothing for me to come home from Mexico, work 3 shifts, leave again to go to London. Like, I used to just do crazy stuff like that. And I enjoyed that at the time. The freedom, the flexibility, the spontaneous nature of it all, I loved it. That could not be further from what I consider to be fun in my 30s. Honestly, in my 30s, I crave stability, I crave routine, I crave rest. There is nothing that I enjoy at this stage more than just being at home with my husband, watching TV, relaxing. My job is very demanding, and when I have my time at home, that really is my time to recuperate. If I could talk to my younger self in my 20s, I would be like, girl, I'm exhausted watching you. Thinking about the things I used to do makes me tired. I mean, there is no part of that lifestyle that is appealing to me at this point. I am very, very, very intentional at this stage in my life about how I steward my schedule. And I'm gonna get into that a little bit later in this video. So that's two things. Drinking and any activity that surrounded drinking was the pinnacle of fun in my 20s. Living a fast life was a pinnacle of fun in my 20s. Both of those things are completely unappealing to me in my 30s. And I'm not saying that I don't travel anymore in my 30s. I do still travel in my 30s, but taking multiple trips a month, multiple international trips a year, absolutely not. Just no. That's just not for me at this point in my life. I get anxiety thinking about having so many things to do and having so many places to be. That's just not for me at this point in my life. My priorities have definitely shifted with maturity, with being a married woman. I want to be more present in my day-to-day life and not always escaping the day-to-day life for like a quick dopamine hit. Like, oh, I want to go somewhere new. Oh, I just want to hop a flight. Like, nah. So where does that leave me? Honestly, I had to sit with myself and ask myself, who do I want to be and what do I want my life to look like? And I decided that I was going to let the answer to those questions guide what I consider to be fun. Because anything that I'm doing that's going against my long-term goals is not fun to me. Anything that's counterproductive to the things I want to do and the people I want to be is not fun to me. So who do I want to be? I want to be healthy. I want to be healthy in all ways. I want to be healthy spiritually. I want to be healthy emotionally. I want to be healthy physically. I want to be healthy mentally. And so what does that look like? A lot of the things that I consider to be fun incorporate some aspect of fitness. I spend a lot of time on my Peloton. I work out a lot. I walk a lot. I enjoy trying like random classes. Sometimes I'll go to Solid Core. My spiritual health is surrounded around my faith. So what does that look like? Church involvement. I've over the last year gotten very, very involved with community service outreach. I volunteer a lot in the community through my church. That's fun to me. Having the opportunity to give back to the community and meet the needs of people in my community is fun to me. Not only is it fun, it's fulfilling and it's meaningful. I'm involved in a Bible study women's group at my church. So that commitment requires me to be a part of a weekly meeting. That's very fun. I built community with other women through that. And I was even asked to speak at a women's conference in Connecticut back at the end of March, which was just incredible. And so a lot of great opportunities have come forth for me as a result of branching out and doing things that I wasn't previously doing before. Another thing, and I'm laughing because I feel like this is the one thing that feels like it ages me a little bit. Something that I consider fun in my 30s that I've recently gotten into is baking. In my 20s, I used to always say like, oh my goodness, I really want to get into baking, but I never had time to do it. I never had time. I was not home long enough. I was always traveling. I was always working. And as I was asking myself, what do I consider to be fun in this period of my life? And I thought about baking. I was like, well, why haven't you had the time to bake? And the truth of the matter is, I was filling my schedule to the brim. I would look at the calendar for the month, and if there was one weekend that I didn't have something to do, I would fill it with something to do. A trip, I'm going somewhere, have somebody come into town. And it was just like, I really had to reevaluate how I was managing my calendar and how I was managing my schedule. In my 30s, I had to really learn the value of saying no. In my 20s, I've always been the all-purpose friend, the friend that never says no. Anything I get invited to, the answer is yes. I am that multi-purpose, down for whatever friend. You want to go on a last-minute trip? Let's book the flight right now. You want to go out? Let's go. You want to go to brunch? Let's go. You trying to hit the club? Let's go. I would never say no. And as a result of that, I had absolutely no margin left for home life. There was no extra time for hobbies at home because I just didn't allow for that. And so I had to learn the value of saying no. Y'all, I say no so much now in my 30s. And I feel so proud of myself every time I say no to something because people don't really know the growth and maturity that it's taken for me to get to a point where I feel comfortable saying no. And I don't even need a reason. I get to a point where if what I'm being asked to do doesn't align directly with the person that I'm trying to be or is not edifying me in some way, I'm probably going to say no. If what I'm being asked to do takes away from the things that I value, rest, time with my husband, time at home, time for restoration and just recuperation at home, which I am very intentional about building time into my schedule for that at the end of a work week. If what you're asking me to do is going to require me to compromise something that's meaningful and that's beneficial to me, I'm going to say no. Because the truth of the matter is, anything that I'm saying yes to, I'm saying no to something else. And I'm not trying to say that I never will do anything. Like, obviously, yes. Like, I'm a good friend. I'm still going to show up for major celebrations, birthdays, weddings, things like that. But that's not what I'm talking about. I used to be saying yes to meaningless stuff. We going to Miami next weekend for what? Just because? Like, what do you mean? Like, no. I'm not going to the club on a random Saturday. Like, why are we doing that? I don't go to the club anymore now anyways. I've just grown out of that. That's really not my scene anymore. But I'm saying those are the types of things that I used to be saying yes to. And I would look back and be like, for what? You don't have time for baking because you're saying yes to meaningless things. That it's just like, reevaluate your yes and you will change your life. So back to baking, I guess I'm like the Black Betty Crocker. I started making bread at home. I love making bread. I love it. Not only does it taste better, it doesn't have all those preservatives in it that the store-bought breads have. It's so easy to make and it is freaking delicious. It's so good. I love baking desserts. I love making cakes, cookies. Ooh, last year I made a vintage cake. I made it by hand. I was so proud of it. I'm gonna try to insert a picture or a video or a clip of it, y'all. I worked blood, sweat, and tears over this vintage cake. The girls charge so much money for these cakes, and after making it myself, I understand why. But I was having a party at my house and I really wanted a vintage cake, and I was like, I'm not getting ready to spend $200. And I'm a DIY girly through and through. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just try to make it. And I made it, and it tasted so good. It was so cute. I was so proud of it. And so I love baking in my 30s. That is something that's very fun to me in my 30s. I love reading in my 30s. I would have never thought that that would be something that would ever come out of my mouth. I've always hated reading. I would say in the last couple of years, I've probably read upward of 30 books, which is a huge deal for somebody like me who hasn't read leisurely probably since honestly, high school. Like outside of college and PA school where I was reading textbooks for curriculum, reading is something I would never do in my 20s. Like, that's whack. Like, why would I be reading when I can be lit and outside? But now I love reading, and I love audiobooks primarily because it allows me to do other things around the house while still reading the books. But some books I do actually obtain the physical book if I think it's a book that I may want to go back to. And reading has just been a great way for me to decompress. It's a good way for me to do something that stimulates my brain in a way that doesn't involve doom scrolling on social media, that doesn't involve rapid consumption of content like TikTok and things like that. And so reading has just been great. I also really enjoy listening to podcasts. If I'm not listening to an audiobook, I'm probably listening to a podcast. Most of the podcasts, or maybe I'll say all of the podcasts I listen to, are spiritual. I'm usually either listening to a missed sermon if I miss church, or maybe listening to another pastor from a church that I may really enjoy. I really do enjoy listening to biblically rooted pastors. I think the long and short of it is that anything that I'm listening to in my spare time, I try to make it to where it is edifying me in some way. It's building me up spiritually. It's building me up intellectually. I just try to do things that are benefiting me, and I've become a lot more intentional with my free time in my 30s so that I'm just not mindlessly doing things, and it's just that didn't add anything to me. In fact, I feel dumber after scrolling on TikTok for an hour. What did I just consume? Half the information is not true. Half of it is just my mind is just cycling. And I'm not gonna say that I don't scroll on TikTok, because I do, but I've had to put boundaries up with that. I really do. And I actually have this app on my phone. I don't know if I should say this on this video. I'm gonna say it. I have an app on my phone that you can adjust it to limit how much time you can be on each app a day. And that has really been helpful for me, because I will find myself just scrolling on TikTok for hours and hours and hours if I don't put boundary lines in place. And that's the beauty of being self-aware. I know myself, and I know that if I don't have those boundaries in place, things can go a little bit too far. So I love reading. I've really enjoyed reading. That's been great. This is gonna sound funny, but I think the more I read, the better my vocabulary gets. I mean, that probably is true. I'm sure that's a proven fact somewhere, but you read words, you hear words that you've never read or heard before, then you look them up and you're And I love vocabulary. I'm a natural born yapper. If y'all can't tell, I'm in front of this camera yap, yap, yap. But I love it. And that's just what I mean about building myself up intellectually, building myself up spiritually. I love spending time with my friends and my family. In my 20s, that was the case, but I think it looks different in my 30s because it's how we're spending time together that feels different. I think in my 20s, I was always hanging out with friends, like out. If I was seeing my friends, it's like, oh yeah, we're at a party. Oh yeah, we're going out to get dinner. Oh yeah, we're going to get drinks. Oh yeah, we're at brunch. There is nothing that I enjoy more in my 30s than my friend just pulling up to the house and we just sit on the couch and just talk. I love that. I love those intimate moments in my 30s where like we're just talking. We don't have to be doing anything big or grand. The same is true for family. Like it doesn't have to be like a huge family function, a family reunion. Like, nah, mama, just come over here. Like let's just sit on the couch and talk. I feel like the intimacy that's built in those moments is just irreplaceable. The conversations, the connection, and I think that's how I've really watered relationships in my 30s, is just making time for those intimate moments. I love spending more intimate time with the people I love, my husband, my friends, my best friends, my family members. That is one of my favorite things to do in my 30s. I think the long and short of it is that in my 30s, fun looks a lot different. And honestly, when I began to redefine what fun looked like for me in my 30s, I was like, dang, am I whack now? Like, am I washed? Because I feel like I sound a little bit washed talking about all this. But the truth is, I don't think any of those things are true. I just think I've grown up. I think I'm mature and I see things differently. And by no means am I trying to say, oh, I don't go out anymore, I don't drink anymore. I'm not saying that. If a friend contacts me and says, hey, let's go out to eat, and it's a friendship that is meaningful to me, and of course, if I'm able, I'm gonna say yes. I do still do those things, but I think the difference in my 30s is that there are boundaries and there's limits, whereas in my 20s, there were none. So that's kind of my take on fun, y'all. Tell me what y'all are doing in your 30s, and does anybody feel this way? Does anybody feel like fun is like super different now in your 30s? But yes, girls, I am very curious to hear your thoughts. I wanna know, do y'all feel me? Am I tripping? Let me know. And also put some hobbies in the comments so I can go try those new things too, because I love discovering new hobbies and I love doing new things. Thank you guys for watching. I will be back with episode 3 next. I think next I'm gonna talk about, what do y'all want me to talk about next? Maybe finance, faith, fitness, one of those F's. What do y'all want me to talk about? Y'all let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love y'all. Bye.